and welcome to a special edition of Chocobo Chasers. For our second interview of 2024, Dash, Eric, and I are absolutely thrilled to welcome special guest Caleb Pierce. So you may recognize Caleb from Issa Rae's Insecure, The Big Bang Theory, but more recently he's taken up the mantle of the incredibly important character Zack Fair in the Final Fantasy VII series of games. You can obviously catch him in the hotly anticipated Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming February 29th. He was also the main character in Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, which is available now on consoles and PC. So, Caleb, it's awesome to have you.
Gee, that intro was fantastic. Wow. I
Well,
was blown away.
we try to make sure that we you agreed to come on here and talk with just a bunch of fans of games. So like, I think we can roll out the red carpet a
Well,
little
I,
bit.
I kind of
So
need to know, did you practice that before? Because it was word perfect. You didn't mess up once.
I'm definitely not reading from a script right here on this side to
Yeah.
try and get everything
You
perfect.
got that
But
whole thing
hey,
memorized. Right?
we are professionals here.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. Thank you for that. And I'm so excited to be on with y'all. I already feel like part of the crew now. Can I join
you
y'all
are an
every
honorary
time?
Chocobro for life.
Okay.
So, well, let's
Thank you,
dive right
G.
into it. So, you've gotten the opportunity to play a central character, Zack Fair, in
Yeah.
a remake of really one of the most beloved games of all time, Final Fantasy VII. So,
Mhm.
were you aware of the cultural significance that Final Fantasy VII has? Not I'd say not even only in gaming history, but really pop culture.
Yeah. You know what, to be honest, I wasn't fully aware of the scope of the impact Final Fantasy has had on culture. I did know it had a pretty significant impact because I didn't grow up a gamer, but when I heard it was Final Fantasy, even I knew what that was. So I knew that it was a big deal. But I think I really understood it was a big deal when my roommate at the time, who's a huge gamer, shout out Cooper, like when he found out what it was, Cooper really set me in my place and was like, "This is a big deal, and you got to start doing some work now." So yeah, I don't think at the time I realized, but I'm honestly glad I didn't realize how big a deal it was, because I think that would have just like made me crumble under pressure. And it was nice. It felt kind of like taking baby steps into a shallow pool, like a little introduction to it, and then diving into the deep end, rather than just being thrown into the deep end.
That's awesome, and it's cool to know, I guess, to know that like there is it seems like there's just Final Fantasy fans like everywhere we look. Like
Yeah.
what you yourself mentioned, like yeah, not wasn't growing up much of gamer, but
Mhm.
obviously our friends, family members, all that. So,
Yeah.
Dash, why don't you go ahead and follow that up, man?
If you weren't aware of it when you first took on the role, you probably are aware now just how major and passionate of a fan base Final Fantasy has.
Right.
So, what is some of your best moments you've had
Oh,
interacting with the fan base since becoming a
oh
part
my
of this
gosh.
universe?
That's wow. First off, I have to say I love the fan base. I think I highlight this last year, my wife and I got to go to London for a thing called KuboCon. That's just all things Final Fantasy. It was like it honestly felt like I was in heaven. It was the coolest 2 days. That was the first time I really got to meet fans face to face. Other than that, it had just been like through DMs or Facebook or, but this was the first time like getting to talk and interact with fans. And nothing was cooler than seeing someone dressed up as Zack Fair that first day. And I was like, wow, this guy looks way more Zack Fair than I do. Like it was kind of trippy. But yeah, just hearing stories, there would be people that would come up that had gotten like Zack tattooed on their arms, or would talk about like just what Zack had done for them since the creation really of the game, and now with the remake. And so that was just so heartwarming, and it just kind of brought things full circle of when you're recording the game and working, you're in a booth by yourself with the director, and it's a very just kind of isolating process. And then to get to be around people who have experienced the game and love Zack as much as you do it was surreal and insane is a good way to describe it.
And I do have a friend who would hate me if I didn't ask this, and I'm sure you get this all the time.
Yeah.
But could I get a Gungaga?
Yes, guys, I have to say this line took me, it was one of the lines we did the most takes of because I had many mess ups but I think now I've gotten the hang of it. Yeah, Zach says me Gungaga.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. Me and my friends will always be sending like videos of like the Me Gungaga.
Right.
Like,
Yes. Same. Yes. I love it now, but when I first when you're in the booth and there's the pressure to record it, it's not the easiest line, I just gotta say.
especially because you're just like, what does this word mean? Why am I saying this?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Oh, he's
Eric,
gonna love that.
Eric, why don't you go next?
So, did you actually go back and spend any time listening to the previous rendition of Zach's character
Yeah.
to kind of get a hang on what you wanted to do and what direction
Yeah,
you wanted to
that's
take it in?
Eric, that's a great question. So they let us, what was so great about the team working on the game is they really wanted to honor the original version of the game, but also let us bring our own spin on things. So we actually took time and watched through the entire game, which was awesome. We got to see Rick's performance from start to finish and just really talk about the amazing things that he did. There's no one like Rick and like his performance. And so to try to copy what he did would be just not fair because it's Rick and I'm not Rick. So we really got to see like what was the intention behind what Rick was doing, but then there was a freedom to play and to bring my own spin on who Zach, how I would play Zach and how I see Zach. And the director is a guy named Kirk Thornton, who I worked with the most on it. There's a couple different directors, so some sessions you have someone else, but for the main duration of it, it was this guy named Kirk, and he was just fantastic at calling me out, at being like, no, Zach would not say it like that. But also being like, wait, I really like where we're going in this direction. Let's play a little bit more into that. And I'm really proud of the final product. I feel like we honored what Rick did, but also are telling the story for a new generation of fans and hopefully honoring those that have loved the game before and then introducing the world and Zach to people who have never experienced it before.
Awesome. Dash, why don't you go next, man?
Yeah.
These questions, by the way, are so thought out. I'm just so impressed. Yeah. And I love like the order of like, hey, Eric, take it away. Thank you guys.
Oh, we
No,
try
no,
to be
thank-
as prepared
yeah.
as possible. So
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you came across when doing the role of Zack, if you had
man.
any?
There were a good amount of challenges. Probably the first was when I started realizing how big of a deal Zach is, and just what he means to so many people. I think that was a challenge of, man, wanting to just honor Rick, who'd come before me, and those that had grown up with the game, and held Zach very dearly and tightly. That was a big challenge for me. And I think, one, the team helped me kind of get over that hurdle, but two, just meeting the fans, getting to talk to them, like I said, starting with DMs and Facebooks and then in person. They're just such a welcoming community. Like Megan, who's my wife, we left and we're like, oh my gosh, I feel like we just met 300 family members. They just were just very like just brought us in right away, and we felt like part of the family, and we still keep up with them now, even though they're on the other side of the world, of those fans that I've met. And so I think that they really helped me get over that hurdle. Another hurdle was just voiceover was new to me. I like maybe are we I can't remember. Was there a question about the audition process?
there is, and that'll actually
Okay.
come next.
Okay, so I'll wait for that. But voiceover is new to me. So there's always that imposter syndrome is what they call it, of just like you're doing a job, a huge thing like Final Fantasy, and you definitely have the thoughts in the booth of like, did they make a mistake? Why did they choose me? Like, do they see, are they gonna see right through me? And yeah, I've just learned a lot about just owning like kind of the phrase Megan and I say a lot of times, like we're alive for such a time as this, and like the doors that open, walking in confidence in those. And the Final Fantasy crew just really helped me with that. I just feel like a different person from when I first got the job 3 years ago to now. And I'm so grateful for the challenges. Yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
I imagine with the way the like release window it was for Crisis Core,
Yeah.
was any of that production under like COVID or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or-
Oh, yeah. So it was wearing mask. You couldn't take off your mask until you got into the booth. Even during our breaks, we were in mask. So yeah, I think most of it was during COVID, if I remember right.
So a lot of your like, well, not your first, but your first major voice
Yeah,
acting
it was
role just
like
had to.
this. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was during COVID. That's crazy to think about because COVID feels like we've gotten through it and past it. I haven't really thought of that because we recorded that game maybe, oh gosh, 2 years ago now. Or yeah, so right in the prime of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, just like you mentioned, so you voiced Zack obviously in Crisis Core Reunion, which for
Yeah.
those who don't know is the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, and it kind of elaborates more on Zack's story. So while being in Crisis Core Reunion, you also had a smaller part in Seven Remake, which
Right.
was the first part of the trilogy. So
Yeah.
now obviously that's expanded quite a bit for Rebirth, because I mean
Right.
Zack's even on the cover of Rebirth, which is so cool.
The cover looks awesome. I
It
saw
looks
that
so
cover. I'm
good.
like,
I know.
dang.
I was just like looking in my background and I'm like, a Rebirth poster would look really good on one of those. So we may have to make some
We're
adjustments
gonna have to
here.
put a Rebirth poster over our guest bed. This is our
Yeah.
guest bedroom. We just need one just on that wall.
So which one did you end up working on first, Remake or Crisis Core?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me back up because when the audition came along, this was maybe like 4 years ago now. So when you get auditions, if you do voiceovers, your agent sends you auditions, you go in and record them, you send them off, and you only hear back if you book it. So you send, like, I had probably sent over 100 auditions in the course of being out in LA, and you only hear back if you book it. So when I went in for Final Fantasy, it was actually a code name. So I had no clue what it was. And like I said, this all probably helped get the role because I didn't realize the pressure of going in for like a Final Fantasy. So it was like a code name, and there were only 4 lines, I think, maybe 5. So it was really small, and the lines, I don't think they had me say me Gungaga because that was given away. But I think they were just very kind of general lines. And the description was like this character is like energetic, like a puppy dog, which maybe that should have been my first clue. But I think it was just kind of a little bit vague of like what I was going in for, and I don't know if I even knew at the time it was a video game. So I went in, recorded it, just kind of like all the others. You send them off, and then you don't know if you're going to hear anything back. And then I think like 6 months or a year later, like it was a crazy amount of time. Usually when you audition, you find out within like a week if you got it. This was like 6 months to a year. I got an email. I still remember I was at a friend's house. I'd spent the night at their house because we were like 2 hours away, and it was 6 a.m. And I got an email from my agent. It's like, you booked Final Fantasy and you're going to be Zack Fair. And I was like, I literally thought they had emailed the wrong guy. I'm like, wait, what? Because I didn't realize I had gone in for it. And then I would get an email at 6 a.m. and it just felt very trippy and just like a surreal out of body experience. And then it turns out she did not email the wrong guy. I was the right guy. And I went in and recorded. So we did Remake first. I recorded that maybe like a week after I found out I got it. And then it was the summer of 2022, I want to say, or 21 maybe. I'm not great with timelines.
Oh, that's totally fine.
I got an email that's like, hey, it's looking like Zack's gonna have his own game. Are you available for the next year? And I was like, I'm available. I mean, how could you say no to that? Then we started recording Crisis Core, and that was just, I mean, that was wild because the first game was maybe 2 sessions, I think, and Crisis Core was 5 days a week for a year. So it really was, it's like what I was talking about earlier of the first game was like stepping into the baby steps into the pool, and Crisis Core was like a deep dive. But honestly, I felt ready for it and excited, and the entire team was amazing. You don't get to work with any other voice actors, and our sessions are always like at random times because the team's on from Japan while we're recording. So you can have a session that you're recording at like 10 p.m. and it's I don't know what time over in Japan, but just like crazy times to be recording. So I didn't actually get to meet the team or the other actors until after we were done with it.
Wow.
And that was so cool because, like I said, you're recording by yourself, and then when you get to see like the finished product and version and meet the people like Aerith, who you're doing the scenes with, is just it's It's incredible. It's incredible.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Eric, why don't you follow that up, man?
So you talked about your auditions, and I actually listened to a previous interview you did. And you talked about how you went to your agent's office and recorded some of your samples to send
Yes.
over.
Yeah.
Now that you've gotten some voice credits, you're gonna open up a home studio out of your thing so you can
Listen, I
make it
need what
easier on
you
yourself?
guys have because you guys all have an awesome setup. What did y'all get?
I have
Uh,
Amazon mic.
yeah,
I have
that
a
is- we-
$50 Amazon mic.
Wait, how much did you say?
Like $50.
Oh my gosh.
I,
Here's what I need. After this, I need y'all to send me links to these mics because y'all sound perfect.
I'm a musician as well, so I use my same stuff for
That's
everything.
awesome.
So
Yeah, we all sound great. I need to get one now. I think there was a while where I was hoping after COVID we would be going back into offices and in-person auditions, but I don't think that's going to happen. So right now, my auditions are in this closet right in here with just my phone. So yeah, that would probably help is to have that. So please send me the links after. Like I said, the Final Fantasy thing, it just is not something that you could have ever like. It was just a door that everything lined up. I mean, I got to go record in a professional studio. I didn't know what it was, so there wasn't the pressure of like nailing it. Once I found out what it was, I had an incredible team of support. It just couldn't have been a more perfect lineup and a door opening. And I still I get chills even now just talking about it because it's just wild how it played out.
Dash, you wanna go next?
So your journey into voice acting has essentially just begun, and I feel it's safe that something you really enjoy doing and would love to do some more of in the future. And obviously NDAs, hopefully there's more work already under your belt that you can't talk about, but are there any particular dream projects that you had in mind if you ever had the chance to do those roles?
Let me tell you, NDAs are wild, and I didn't realize how tough it is. Signed an NDA and then not being able to talk about things after. I love that you mentioned that with the NDAs. But yeah, I think anything I've just fallen in love with the world of gaming and video gaming. We got to play the game once it came out, which was just a surreal experience of it took me the first couple scenes, any line I would hear, I was picturing myself in the booth because I would remember recording those lines. And then as we progressed in the game, it was so fun that was kind of forgotten and we were immersed in the world ourselves, which was insanely rewarding and awesome. And so I think anything video game wise, it's always just the nicest team you're working with. But also something like a good Pixar movie would be a dream. And, yeah, it would be wild. What about you guys? Are y'all voiceover actors as well?
Oh no,
We would love to.
I sell roofing for a living.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. I love just how much you guys know about all this, and y'all's questions are just so informed. And you could have fooled me. I thought I was talking to fellow voiceover actors.
We're actors now, boys. Let's go.
I honestly think a big part of that has been our experiences talking with other actors, and we've actually talked with actors, directors, some developers, really kind of just got the full fledgling experience of being an actor from, people who've done it for 20 years, from the very beginning, because one of our guests previously was Michael Goff. He's kind of just in every game you've ever heard of, but maybe not necessarily a main character. And he was a really special character to all of us because we played a game called Diablo growing up. And
wow,
just hearing kind of his experience, he was the first voice actor kind of a thing. So hearing how things have progressed from that point to now, and obviously you're kind of more of you're closer to our age. He's a little bit older than us, so it was a little bit of a different experience, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know. It's such a new world to me.
It
And
is.
now I've been in it for 4 years now, which is awesome. So I feel like I've got a little bit more footing underneath me. But I think it's the coolest world of you can show up to work in sweatpants and a t-shirt and an hour in you're defeating whoever and giving some victory grunts. It's pretty awesome.
Eric, you want to follow that up, man?
Yeah. So the same interview I listened to talking about your interview process, you talked about how your brothers are pretty big gamers.
Yes. Yeah.
So how was it that first time being like, hey, I'm in Final Fantasy. Y'all shut up, don't say shit.
Yeah. That was insane. My family is so supportive and is just the best. And to get to do something that they love, my brothers, and yeah, it was just awesome. And then realizing that I think G, you had commented on this earlier, that we all have like relatives or friends that love the game. Like realizing in my world how many people love Final Fantasy was like the coolest thing ever to get to like be dived into the world for so long and now have people that I love so much to get to talk about it with. It's just awesome. Megan has a cousin in Florida that we were just with this last Christmas who's a huge Final Fantasy gamer, and nothing was better than just talking, like sneaking away from the fam for a bit at the big family reunion and talking all things Crisis Core and trying my hardest to, like, as he's asking questions about the new game, be like, Casey, I can't do that, man. I can't tell you anything. Eric, also, that is crazy that you knew, like, and remembered all that from a last interview.
I watched it yesterday, so
it's fresh on the brain. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't play Final Fantasy, so I wanted to come up with some stuff because I can't obviously ask you stuff about the game that I don't play.
Right.
So
yeah.
I was like, all right, I got to go look up some stuff, and
I love that.
I found the interview, and I was like, okay, cool. And then you mentioned a couple things and didn't really elaborate on them, so I wanted to get a little bit more info on that one.
I love that, Eric. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you really weren't like a too much of a gamer growing up, but as somebody who's closer to us in age, and I think we have all kind of grown up in what a lot of people would refer to as the golden age of gaming. Like same thing as like tech, just everything has progressed so heavily over the last 15, 20 years or so. It's a bit easier, I think, to recognize how much this industry has grown over the last decade or two.
Right.
And so I guess, has this changed your perspective on gaming now that you've been a part of all of this?
Oh man. Well, now we just feel, and because I say Megan too, she's kind of my tag team. So anything like any Final Fantasy event, Megan gets to go with me, which is awesome. She was in London. We got to go to a concert that was all Final Fantasy. And so now I feel like we as a team are so immersed in it that we just love it. And we loved like having date nights of us just playing Crisis Core. It actually, Megan's better than I am at the actual gaming aspect, which brought on some feels that I was like, wow.
So we interviewed the wrong person. Bring her in. Bring her in. She's gonna finish this.
Yeah. But no, I think this game has been such a gift because it's opened up it's introduced us to the world of gaming and how incredible it is. And now I feel like it'll always be a part of us. Because we, one, love the people, and two, love the stories of the game. So yeah, my hope is that one day with like the new Apple VR system is that there's going to be a game that you're going to get to be like VR walking with Zack and telling him like, hey, we should go this way. And he's like interacting with you. I think that would be amazing.
We've got the pitch ready for Square Enix.
Yeah.
Let's head over there right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Also, I will say that just made me think one of the most fun parts of recording is you have to record alt versions based on how the player does on the level. So like for each level, we'll record a version that's like, all right, or like you did it, like on to the next. And we'll also record a version that's like, oh man, like better luck next time, whatever. And when we were playing, Megan and I together, she kept getting the version of like, yeah, let's go. And anytime I play, it's like, oh man, we'll try again. So we got to experience both versions, which was great. But that's a fun part of recording too, is like there's just so many different ways the game can go, that is so fascinating to me.
So we also wanted to give you the opportunity as well. Were there any, obviously, Final Fantasy Rebirth, as mentioned, comes out February 29th. So we are just over a month away. But do you have any charities or any other projects or things like that you kind of wanted to bring to our listeners' attention just, before we go ahead and we go?
Oh, you guys are awesome. The first thing that comes to mind, I mentioned KuboCon last year. Megan and I are actually going again in a month for the release of the game. So if anyone's in Europe, please come join us. It was definitely a highlight of the year this last year, and just getting to celebrate the story and the fans. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. So if you're around end of February in Europe looking for something to do, come hang with us at KuboCon.
Awesome. Well, Caleb, I think I speak for all three of us. This has been so fun.
Oh, this has been so fun.
Yeah, we love getting to talk shop with actors, and you are incredibly passionate about what you do, and that always makes this experience so fun for us as well. So I just want to say thank you, because this has been a delight. And I think that's all the questions that we had. Is that everything, boys?
The only other question I have is, can we do this every night from now on? Same time.
You do not have to twist our arm. We'll be here.
Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Central.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Just have him as a weekly guest on the
Caleb is the new Chocobro.
Every week.
Yeah.
By like week 8, you're like, Caleb's back. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was a blast.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and we'll close this out again. Thank you to Caleb, and thank you to everybody who's listening. Be sure to check out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, out February 29th on PlayStation 5.
You're gonna love it.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
We hope you guys have a good one. We'll catch you next time.